He's got a good memory. He's older than me and Melinda. About 5 years older than me.
But I've heard that the Charbel and the Rex, maybe were like brothers that had owned.
I don't think so, I'm not sure.
No relation. So the Rex was next
the
to the
east
Tops
side.
building on the east side.
Yeah, it was about two stores down from the hotel right there.
Okay.
Where Wild was. And it used to be a People's Cafe right next to it.
Huh.
Yeah, the People's Cafe was north of the Rex Theater.
Okay. So that would have been in the 700 block.
Oh, it'd been.
About in there where the
Oh,
floor,
it'd been
floor
earlier than
and
that.
shopping guide
It'd
is
been
now.
earlier than that.
But 700 block.
Huh?
He's talking 700 block.
Yeah.
So basically across the road from the Charbel.
Be about 709 or something like that. 709 Main Street.
The Arlington would have been like 701.
Corner. They'd have been
Yeah.
on the corner of,
Right.
yeah.
I remember the Ace store that I worked at was
Yeah,
that
that's
was
where the Arlington
701.
is at, yeah.
So,
And the Carnes Theater or hotel was right there next to Bailey's hardware store.
Now,
was
I
that
remember.
People's Cafe?
Yeah, I remember the People's Cafe because when it closed, my dad bought the leftover stuff for $20, and that included any food that was left, and everything. And they had little bitty glass bottles with cream. And I thought those little bottles were so cute. I saved one. I think I still got it.
Rex. The Charbel was on that's where the Times is now, 600 east side of that street, right?
West side.
West side. West side. East.
So you're talking the Rex would have been on the east side of 7th Street?
Right.
Okay. 7th and Main.
And the 700 west, where Bailey's is, 700 block there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Bailey's.
Same thing,
Carnes.
isn't it? Just look in the phone book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's talking about the Carnes was next door to the north or the south, Bill?
Carnes Theater or restaurant?
Hotel.
Cafe.
Yeah, it was south. The People's Cafe, People's Cafe was down on the, between 8th and 9th, right there where the, what do you call them?
That clothing store?
Your car factor, right next door. That was People's Cafe,
So 2 doors down on the west side on 8th Street,
Yeah.
People's Cafe.
right across from the courthouse.
So about where,
Carnes
between
is right
Tidewater
next-
and the chiropractic
Yeah.
right now.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Carnes is right there on the Main Street right next to the hotel.
Okay. Just kind of get an idea of what we're actually going to have an event at the Charbel Studio, or if we get enough people, we'll go onto the theater. But just kind of identifying what people remember in the different blocks, because what you might remember from when you were young, somebody that's my generation might remember, instead of like Wiles, they might remember Spurgeon's.
Mhm.
Just kind of get an idea of different things through the years.
In 1910, this fellow wrote Going Around the Square. Remember that? It's printed in the back of our home folks book. And he tells about each one of the stores that was there in about 1910.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Do you have that?
We have
Yeah.
the home folks book, so we'll have to look that up.
Okay.
I think we got a ticket at home or somewhere. It's for the Charbel, so you can get in. I found it when I was working up there once, after they converted it to Times Theater.
So you were working upstairs
Yeah,
on the phone?
phone system.
Was the phone company above the theater?
No, they was needing a phone in there, worked
Okay.
on it. I was working, repairing the phone.
Right.
But they was tearing up the floor and stuff, and that's when I found that Charbel ticket.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
but
You
I
worked for
remember
the-
going there all the time. You used to have to pay a 9 cents to get in then, back
Okay.
in the 30s. And it was a nickel to get into the Rex Theater. Of course, the Rex Theater always showed the old westerns and old movies, where the Charbel was showing more modern stuff,
Okay.
because it was more expensive and you could get better movies.
Sure. I remember from talking to you the last time that you worked for RTC for quite a while. Film company. How long did
Yeah, a
you work
little over 28 years.
Okay.
I started on April Fool's Day in 1966.
there? Okay.
I've had it fooled ever since, but now. And I retired in 94,
Okay.
because I told Mr. Terrell that I'd give him notice because I was going to retire, and he says, well, because I thought he could hire somebody, and he says, no, we're not going to replace you. And after I'd retired, about a month later, they hired 6 guys because they was opening up and more bearing cable and stuff like that,
Oh,
more
sure.
equipment. So
Yeah.
I was kidding him. It took that many men to replace me. Yeah, they had more line crew because they was going out. I retired just about time they was coming in with fiber optics,
Okay.
so I didn't get in on that. So
Sure. And that's the big thing right now.
yeah, yeah, probably a lot of them wouldn't know how to work on a rotary phone either.
Right?
And most of them would say, what's that?
Yeah, well, when I first started working for them, they was started to take the plate off of the phone and put rotary dials in them. So we was going around putting new rotary in so they could dial it.
Right.
It was C8 number, capital, but it was CA 482R or something like that.
CA2. Yeah. The museum has a collection of old phones,
Okay.
including an old phone booth.
Cool. I know that the Times Theater has got a phone booth in
Yeah,
their old, I think it was an RTC phone booth. But
the newer version or the older one?
the newer,
The newer ones are all aluminum.
I think it's probably what it was.
Okay, the others weren't.
Okay. So going farther down Main Street, about the 500 block. What was in the 500 block? So like where Beacon is now, that was the Opera House, right?
Right. And of course, Tops across the road. Shirley worked at Tops.
Not me, Shirley did.
Yeah, I did. Oh, I hated that place.
See, the old Opera House.
Well, we were doing little patches on these brochures for advertisements, and there were 4 different kinds of fabric, and you were expected to do 800 an hour or something, I don't remember, or 800 a minute. It was terrible. Oh, I couldn't, and those old ladies, they just did theirs so fast, and I couldn't keep up. And who was that guy that owned Tops?
Mr. Allen.
Oh, Louis.
Not Louis, but the other one, Sigmund, or what the heck?
Louis was the boy.
Yeah, the old man, begins with an S. Yeah, anyway, he'd sneak down the back stairway, and if he caught us talking, he'd yell at us. We weren't supposed to
So
talk.
he figured you couldn't work and talk at the same time.
And they play music only 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon. That's all the music we could have.
Yeah, it was Ellen that owned it.
Seymour Ellen, that was his name.
Okay.
The old grump.
My sister worked there too. She made them things that you could put on your shirt, what do you call that? Putting pictures and stuff on T-shirts. He used a screen to do
Like
it
the screen
with
printing
paint.
stuff.
Oh, screen, yeah.
So just to
Okay.
the south of the Tops building, just a little farther down there at the alley,
RMC was in there.
our EMC was in there. And
There was a-
Louderback was in there too,
Yeah,
right?
Louderback was where on the corner.
Wellness Center.
That was the Chevy part, and then the next building right on, connected to it was the Buick side. They
Okay.
had a gas pump outside down the sidewalk there.
You had a gas pump
Yep,
just for them to use?
yeah,
or for,
put the gas in their cars when they sell them.
Someplace in there in later days was the thread shed.
There might still be a tank set underneath the ground there somewhere, I don't know.
The,
Right.
Back then, you
the
know.
thread shed building in the more modern years, Shirley, is where the Hamburger Hut building just north of that.
Yeah, hamburger hut was a teeny weeny little building you could buy a hamburger at.
right?
Well, that's farther down, but then there was Shore and Hearts next to that grocery store used to be next to that theater, or the Opera House. I remember when it burnt,
So
but I don't know
would
what.
that be 600 block?
The Opera House
Yeah,
between
be-
5th and 6th.
The 500 block where the
And
Shore and
then-
Hearts was.
So Thread Shed would be
Thread shed would be
south of 6th.
it's south of Ruthless now, in that building.
Okay,
But then when I was a kid, the thread shed was on past where Doc Hoff's office used to be, in one of those stores.
okay.
And you were a kid, what, in the 60s?
I was born in 67, so in the
In the
70s, Shirley.
70s, okay.
I went to work before you was born.
So
Yeah.
the dime store, the Schultz's, that was
That's where the medical building is
the
now.
west 7th
Hoff's
Street.
building in
Seventh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a 5 and dime store.
So you had the dime store, and then you had
And Creek Bomb used to work.
Blumenthal's, and you had the Racket at one time in one of those buildings. The thread shed in more modern years was in those
There
buildings.
used to be
And then Bailey's.
clothing store and the Red Goose Sugar store there just south of
Yeah,
the
the Red
dime
Rooster
store.
shoes.
What was the one that had that mid store there? I forget
Dave's.
what the name is.
You're
He's a
talking about
tall-
Dave Dameron's
Huh?
store? You're talking about Dave Dameron's store? Clothing store?
Yeah, I was trying to think what the name was. They was tall. I'm not sure what their name. I'd know it if I heard his name, but
Where I'm remembering this men's clothing store was past Webb's before you get to the corner where the big building is. That was the old bank.
Okay. the we're trying to think where the
It's
First
probably
National
where,
Bank
it's
building
probably
was.
where Harry expanded in that building
Okay.
would be where I'm talking, where
Right.
Dave's men's clothing store was.
Okay.
what street are you talking about between which?
7th and 8th,
Oh, okay.
south of Webb's, or Baxter's at the time. And then,
Okay, Russell
then-
C. used to have a taxi office right there on the alley across from Black and Bailey's, because I used to answer their calls. When the people call in for a taxi, it was just under a stairwell is what it was, on a
Right.
telephone. That was his, and then my dad worked for the taxi company too.
Okay. So you answered the phones, you didn't
I
drive?
was the guy that answered the phone and put the addresses down for him to go pick up or wherever.
Well, you were just a kid, weren't you?
Yeah.
How many taxis did they have?
Huh?
How many taxis did they have?
He had 2.
2.
Yeah.
So your dad drove one, who drove the other?
Dad and then Russell.
Russell C.
Yeah. He was, he always met the train, the Erie Railroad, or train when they come in on the Erie Railroad. He was always down there waiting on people to take. Dad had run town and people wanted to go in the country, he'd do that, so.
Okay. So down at the Erie.
He might have had 3 at one time too,
Okay.
but I know Dad and Russell was the only one.
What was your dad's name?
Jim Willard or James, Joshua. Joshua.
Joshua.
Yes, Joshua Willard.
Because his initials were J.M., Joshua Monroe Willard. They'd
Yeah.
call him Jim, but his actual name was Joshua.
Okay.
Joshua Monroe Willard.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
And our grandson is named Joshua after
Okay.
him.
What about down the 400 block? Like, there's
400
a.
block, okay.
I
that'd be-
remember taking my car.
The Sheltons used to run a filling station right across, right where Ford's got their parking lot for Ford cars and trucks. That was Shelton's well, no, it was that Sinclair? I think it was Sinclair at that time.
That was on the east side, west side.
Yeah, right there on the corner, or southeast corner of 4th and Main.
Sinclair.
Yeah.
You
In
said
Howard Ro-
Shelton?
Pardon?
What was the name? Shelton?
Yeah, the Shelton brothers.
Shelton.
Because one of them was a huckster driver too. He delivered for Morrison Grocery, and I'm not sure if he hauled for somebody else or not, but they take groceries and deliver them in the country.
Okay. That's it.
I think Harvey Clary might have been a driver for them too, or another.
Was that just like another service someplace? Like a taxi service for
Yeah,
food?
that's what it does. They had them they just like Kroger's. When you call in, they put it in a bag, and then when you get there, they
Yeah.
deliver it out to the car for you. So, but
Okay.
they just deliver it to in the country. They had regular routes that they would take.
And there was a number of grocery stores back in that time.
Yeah, because Morrison's Grocery was right there, just about 2 buildings north of where that bank is, or well, Smith, Sawyer and Smith moved in there
Okay.
on the corner. Of course,
Okay.
when I remember, that was Zinnerman's.
Zimmerman's Bakery?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not everybody had a car either.
And then next to that was Farmers Merchants Bank on the east side. And then Morrison's Grocery, and that's it.
Farmers and Merchants Bank? Was that on the corner? I
Yeah,
remember it on the corner.
That's where Zinnerman's Grocery was after. And then they moved the bank, different name of the bank, and then they sold it to Smith, Sawyer and Smith, is in there now.
Okay.
At one time, that building where Smith, Sawyer and Smith was also Kroger's.
I don't remember that one at that time. It had to be a long time. I remember Kroger's were more or less 2 or 3 houses down, because I got pictures of that.
Well, there's a picture that we have in our collection
Okay.
that shows the building being Kroger's. And then in later years, it was down on 9th and Main in the
Right.
Oddfellows building that burnt. And then it moved over to where the Solid Rock Church building is now.
Was that the Centennial?
That's on
Yeah.
south of 9th Street. Yeah, 9th Street.
John Little told me about on the west side of the Kroger, they had there's a creamery. People used to bring in their.
Oh, my mother took cream in there to sell.
Okay.
Yeah, that was behind Kruger's on 9th Street. Behind the telephone office.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's
And
Creamery?
then right there behind,
Where was
there
Creamery?
used to be a John Deere
Yeah,
place.
She skimmed cream.
Which-
Charlie
one now?
Travis used to run the John Deere place before he moved down to where
I
Inyards
can
is at
think
now.
of this creamery. I can't think of the
Okay.
name.
Huh.
We had so many different creameries.
And,
Well, it wasn't Arbor's.
No, it wasn't ours, because that's the wrong part of
I'm trying
town.
to think on 4th Street, across the road was I believe it was a pure oil station where Phillips is, or
Good to go is now.
Goods, or whatever it was.
Was Frida's in that block?
Huh?
Was Frida's restaurant in it?
Frida, no, that was a barber shop at one time.
Oh, really?
That's where Bob and Roy Hill worked. And, 'cause I remember going to wait on my dad, because he was getting a shave and a haircut there. And then,
So
of
where
course,
was
Holloway's,
Frida's? Where was Frida's at then?
it was right on the corner of 5th and Main,
Okay, the brick
on
building.
the west side, northwest corner. Yeah, that was a barber shop. There was 3 or 4 people in there.
Frida's was a barber shop?
Frida's was a restaurant, the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's same
And
place.
Fifth
Where the
and,
barber
Fifth and
shop
Main
was.
on the west side,
Yeah,
where Tippy River, was it Dog and Fishing Supplies or
Okay.
whatever it is now?
Yeah. Next
building.
to,
Richie's Menwear and
next
then
to Holloway's.
Yeah.
yeah, I
The
don't
whole
know how
building.
long that place has been there, but that's the only thing I can remember that being there. I mean, any place else or anybody else, I can't remember anybody. But then south of where Ford's was Howard Robbins' New Idea. He sold parts for New Idea, corn pickers, whatever you had.
Where was this?
Yeah,
Off of 3rd or 4th Street in Maine,
on Main Street,
Maine.
just south of the Ford parking lot there.
Okay. That was like a farm implement or just a,
Pardon?
what was the New Idea? It was like a farm implement?
Yeah, it's farm. They never built tractors. They just built corn pickers, combines, and stuff like that.
Okay.
And air spreaders.
He actually built them?
Pardon?
He actually built them or he just sold them?
No, they sold them.
Sold them?
Just bought parts and kept parts because there's a lot of new ideas around in the 40s and 30s.
Okay.
They
And
were-
further down, you get down to where Zick's Drive-In is now. That right before you get there, well, that's where Bill's Barber
Yeah.
Shop was, but
That
it
was
used
a
to be a
meat
grocery
market
store.
or a grocery store. That was what was the name of that meat market?
Blacketer?
No, where Bill's Barber Shop is down there next to Dick's Drive-In. Pushbucker. That was Pushbucker's grocery store at that time, when I remember.
P-E-R-S-C-H. B-A-C.
Yeah.
And across the road from him
B-H-E-R, I
was
think.
right there at the elevator was a Shell gas station.
Where was the Shell gas station?
Right there, right there where the Erie Railroad Depot or elevator is,
Mm-hmm.
or just south of it was a gas station there.
Okay.
Shell. I think Sanders, was it two Sanders or something, the Sanders brothers or something run that.
I was gone before my time doing it,
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah, it was Sanders that run that.
I know from
thing.
reading histories and that, there was a Jefferson Hotel somewhere down towards the railroad track. But I'm not sure what
Okay.
side of the road.
Well, there used to be a hotel right across that Erie Depot, right on the corner there.
That was the Erie Hotel.
Huh?
There was one called the Erie Hotel.
Well, that's probably the one right across
Yeah.
the road from the depot. It was a two or three story building there. I remember that.
Yeah, not far from the railroad tracks.
It would have been on the
It'd be on
West side.
First
West
First
side.
Street and what is it? Pontiac?
Yeah, so it'd be back off the main
Yeah,
drag.
'cause it's Mattis, 'cause that was Jefferson, Pontiac, yeah.
okay. Wow. You know about that?
It probably got taken down with the tornado.
It's possible, I don't,
The tornado of April of 1974 took down some buildings at the,
then on the
north end.
the northwest corner of 4th Street used to be Klein's Junkyard, when I remember. They bought junk, just like Lewis's Salvage out there, they bought junk.
And rags.
Huh?
He bought rags too, according to
Yeah,
what I read.
newspapers and stuff.
Yeah.
Sam Powell and his junkyard there on 4th Street used to buy newspapers and stuff. I know we used to get a bunch of newspapers and sell them for a nickel. That's about what we could get, and they'd come and buy them, so they wasted more gas.
Yeah, if that building was still standing in 74, it's more likely that it did.
Unless
Because it
there's
took out
anything else on 4th Street that I can
that
remember.
building on Fulton, and come across the tracks and
Well,
then
let's
went out.
see, yeah.
Monticello and across Dean's got taken out, or well, damaged. And the Grist Hotel, where the Taekwondo place is now, that used to be a
I
hotel.
think,
The Grist.
Grist.
Grist
That's
Hotel.
north of the tracks?
Yeah, north of the tracks.
Okay, there,
Past the section where you go to the recycling.
Right.
Yeah,
Next building there.
G-H-R-I-S-T.
Grist, yeah.
H-R-I-S. Huh.
I think
Didn't
there
know
used to
what
be
hotel they're
a
at. I
a
remember that
gas
was,
station there on the corner of 3rd and Main, too,
HVAC.
Right, right.
PD.
where the police
Borders
station
had it for a
is.
while, and now Mike Walkman owns it, and Dave Colger does Taekwondo practice and stuff in there.
They're next to Evergreen.
And didn't Forrest Pfeiffer used to have a tire place or something across the road from there off of Lucas, where Mark used to have his shop,
On Lucas Street?
right across on Old 31, but on right at the corner there where Lucas is.
Yeah, that was, what'd you say his name was?
Forrest Pfeiffer.
No,
Wasn't him?
it was Higgins, Otis Higgins had that
Okay, okay.
at the time.
Higgins or Hagen?
We always called it Higgins.
What was this?
It was
It was a tire shop.
Tire shop.
Yeah, it was north of the tracks still, but it would be on the west side.
And he used
There's a
to
foundation still
do
there, but that building's
recaps.
gone.
He made his own recap tires too. Cause there used to, I know I looked down there in his basement one time where they hauled out and they were just full of shavings of wood that they'd shaved the tires off with it.
The building had snakes in it too, so.
Wood or rubber?
Rubber.
So how far
Oh, shavings of rubber.
north did Main Street go? Is that, has it
Well-
always pretended at the tracks or?
Yeah, Main
You
Street
see
ends
the-
at.
You have
it ends
First
at the
Street, so yeah,
track.
you'd have the tracks, but,
Yeah,
you know, then there
Yeah.
were a few buildings
Just a few
beyond
buildings.
because of businesses and
sure,
so.
okay. So Rochester Day has several dining options in downtown. What were some of the best restaurants in downtown Rochester?
I'd say probably that. I never went into People's much. It was the other, what's the one right
The
next?
courthouse view?
Courthouse, no, that was a good place too. That was on 9th Street.
And then later at Main Street.
Carnes is probably one of the best, right next to the rec theater and them. Because they also took care of their customers at the hotel.
Okay,
And the New York Candy Kitchen.
Well, that was
Sure.
down on 9th and Main.
It served meals, didn't it?
Nope.
Oh, I was thinking there was one next to it that
Well,
did.
he might have sold sandwiches or something, but he was more or less for candy.
But wasn't his
the
brother
Berghoff.
next to him?
The Berghoff was the next.
That's it,
Yeah.
Berghoff. Yeah.
That was on the corner.
Those are some of the burnt buildings that we don't see.
right,
Yeah, burned in, I think, 1961, if I remember right.
Like I said, when I was a kid, of course, Evergreen was there, the old original Evergreen. And then Maggie had whatever it was called downtown.
Courthouse view.
Maggie had that.
I think so.
The
Okay.
chicken coop.
Well, I know it's called Around Barn Chicken Coop, but there was something in between there too.
Uh,
Another name.